time for some photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. Woo!
Okie dokie. Glad you got that out of your system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so energy. Let's think about energy here. Nearly all living things obtain energy either directly from the sun or actually indirectly from the sun.
So the the bubbles down there below are kind of trying to walk you through how things either get it energy directly or indirectly. So you start with your sun, which is obviously your source of energy. The grass then takes in that sunlight and uses it to help them make food. The zebra comes along and chews on some grass, which gives the zebra energy. And then the lioness comes along and chomps down on the zebra. So the lioness gets energy then from the zebra. So it all started back with the sun there. So everyone has their energy. Thank you to the sun.
Okay, so here we go.
So if you don't have a note guide, you need to go get yourself one because that is what we're getting ready to fill in. So, okay, so photosynthesis is the word of the hour. And it's the process by which a cell, specifically a plant cell, captures energy in sunlight and then uses it to make food. Okay, so the sunlight itself isn't the plant's food or the cell's food. It uses the sunlight to make its food. So think of the sunlight more as similar to like that of a battery. Okay, next. So nearly all living things obtain energy either directly. No, energy should go there.
Mm-hmm. Just kidding.
Just making sure you're with us. So they obtain energy either with what we call directly or indirectly from the energy of sunlight. Okay, so directly means that the cell is able to take in the sunlight and use the sunlight right away. Doesn't have to be transformed into anything else. So a plant, your grass, your trees, your flowers. Indirectly means that the animal eats something that had taken in sunlight directly. So whether it is that the zebra is eating the grass or the cow is eating the grass and then the lion's eating the zebra, the lion and the zebra and the cow are all getting that energy indirectly. They can't take in the sunlight themselves and do anything with it.
Got it.
Okay, so we got two words coming. Just kidding, we got a chain for you to see.
Draw this in your science notebook. You got your sun first, and then he gives life to the tree and the grass, and then Mr. Monkey goes, ooh, ee, I got a banana, woo! And then this Komodo dragon comes along and is like, dude, I'm gonna eat you, monkey. And then he snatches a monkey. I think they eat monkeys. I looked it up.
Oh, okay.
See? There's the Komodo dragon.
That's not a monkey, just so you guys know, though.
If he can eat this guy, whatever this guy is, he can eat a monkey.
It looks like a cow.
But it's not a cow. It's one of those things at the zoo that, like, the onyx, I don't know. They have those weird animals in the back of the zoo. Okay. Oh.
Okay, so now we got two words for you to know. And they're really great examples of knowing prefixes and suffixes. So we have an autotroph, and if you think about auto, kind of means independent on its own. So an autotroph is any organism that does make its own food. So, or can make its own food. So your oak tree, or Miss Melissa's favorite flower, the tulip.
Aww.
Okay, those are all autotrophs, so they can make their own food from the sun. A heterotroph, though, is an organism that does not make its own food. So the zebra and the lion, we are heterotrophs. We cannot make food within ourselves. We actually have to go to the fridge or go to the store or go to the drive-thru to get food.
And sure, you make macaroni and cheese, but it doesn't mean that your body itself is making the macaroni and cheese.
So we're talking kind of internally. So
Yes.
autotrophs can make the food internally. They don't need any, outside, preparation. Heterotrophs have to actually physically eat the food to get it inside their systems.
Some examples?
Turtle and yo mama.
Yo mama. Let's look at these pictures. What you got here? So what do you see in this picture that is a heterotroph? Let me bring it to the front. Order front. Oh by golly, look at all the green here. All this green are autotrophs. Do you see any heterotrophs?
No.
Let's look at another guy. Over here. Okay, what do you see going on here? What autotrophs do you see? Heterotrophs.
So you do have some autotrophs in that picture, though, because the
Bam.
grass. And
then you
then
got two
heterotrophs. Yep.
Okay, let me get this guy up front. Sorry, I didn't do this ahead of time. Okay, what you got here? Heterotrophs or autotrophs?
Autotrophs.
Good job. And then finally, your last guy. Let's bring it up front. Order front. I love this show.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Autotroph or heterotroph?
Heterotroph.
Yeah, he goes in the kitchen and watches them make the sandwiches.
Yep.
But he didn't make the food.
Yeah, and if you have ever been downtown to the barbecue place, why can't I think of its name right now?
I don't know.
Pappy's. Pappy's has a meal called the Atom Bomb, named after that gentleman you just saw right there in the picture.
I want to go to Pappy's.
Yeah, because he came to visit Pappy's, and they named a meal after him.
That's cool beans.
Okay, so onto our picture here.
This is a picture to help kind of explain what's going on with photosynthesis before we give you the definition. You got light energy from your sun up here. It's going onto the plant, and coming in through the leaves is the lovely gas.
Carbon dioxide. So the leaves take in the carbon dioxide, which is awesome. That's why we love our plant friends.
And then finally the third thing it needs is some water, and then water goes through the roots of the plant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the plant makes its magic, and it releases, for us to breathe, some oxygen.
So it has to have the three ingredients in order for it to produce food. So it's got to have that light energy, carbon dioxide, and water. Inside those leaves there are those nice little friends that we call chloroplast, which is actually the part of the plant and the cell that can actually take that sunlight in and do something productive with it.
And then you're going to see oxygen is leaving the cell, because that's kind of their waste, which is great for us. But storing in the cell is the sugar, is the glucose, is the food. Mm-hmm. And that's what is not, it's kind of missing from this graphic. Okay, so during photosynthesis, plants and some other organisms, not just plants, but mostly 99% of plants, they use energy from the sunlight to convert carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and sugar. So the words you're filling in here are photosynthesis, carbon dioxide, water, and water goes into oxygen and sugars.
So you kind of have your ingredients and then your products. So with these things, we can make this.
Okay, so to go on to make this a little bit more interesting, we have this brief song.
And I'm just letting you guys know, you're going to want to sing it when you're done because it's got a pretty catchy tune.
There you go. Oops.
If you want to know how a plant grows, it takes water, air and sunlight and makes cellulose. Every plant can do this fundamental process, and we can call this photosynthesis. Unlike me and you, plants need CO2, and they make oxygen that stops us turning blue. Every plant can do this fundamental process, and we can call this photosynthesis. It's a miracle how all the chlorophyll captures sunlight in the leaves of the plants and the trees. A plant of any size can do it if it tries, but we're not green, so we can't photosynthesize. Every plant can do this
fundamental process, and we will call this photosynthesis. Okay, so I'll pause it there, and I kind of like, if I get, I don't know if they'll allow me, nope, yeah I can. I kind of like this slide here. You can see the equation that you're going to be expected to be able to read. We're not going to ask you to memorize this or regurgitate it, but we do expect you to be able to understand what's going on here.
And you have a spot a little bit later in your notes where you can record this.
Okay, so just to recap what's going on in this process, I know you don't need to draw this in your notebook, but we got the process of photosynthesis, right? And then you got some raw materials, or sometimes they're called reactants. Mm-hmm. And you got going on here light energy. Oops, sorry about that. There goes that guy. Light energy shines on the leaf, and the chlorophyll captures that light. And then you got your carbon dioxide puffing it in on the underside of the leaf. Then you got your wah-wah from your roots.
So now that you have your 3 reactants, you have what you need to make your products. So your products are
glucose,
and
that's stored and used in the cells, and then your oxygen.
Mm-hmm. And the oxygen
is
released, which is great news for us.
And this all happens, what makes the plant green? That's your chlorophyll. And that all happens in the chloroplast, which has your chlorophyll inside the chloroplast. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I have the word cell here. We can just delete that guy. Mm-hmm. Done and done now. Okay. So here's your equation, kiddos.
So you have 6 carbon dioxide. So the CO2 stands for carbon dioxide.
And we get 6 of those. So when you see like a CO2, that means you have a carbon, and then you have 2 little oxygens hanging on for dear life. So that's what CO2 is. And you actually have 6 of those suckers going into photosynthesis. And then
you have 6 H2O. So H2O is a water molecule. So it's made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom.
Each. And I'll make our oxygen blue again. Bam. And you got 6 of those.
So once you have those 2 things, you need your energy, which we are going to get from our sunlight.
Now the reason why this is going over the arrow is that it causes the reaction. Like when you go get your Betty Crocker chocolate cake mix, and you go mix in the eggs and the oil and the water, and the powder stuff of course, it doesn't tell you that when the ingredients on the top is the oven or the heat energy, right? No, that's what is used to turn the egg, oil, and powdery stuff into a cake. So that actually makes the baking happen. The light here isn't an ingredient. It is the catalyst, the thing that starts this whole reaction.
Mm-hmm. It's your energy source. Okay, so once we add our light energy, then we are going to get our products. So we have 2 products. We have, we have glucose, which is also sugar. So it's kind of a long equation. It's made up of 6 carbon atoms, 12 hydrogen atoms, and then 6 oxygen atoms. And that equals 1 molecule of glucose.
Yeah, see there's no number 1 here, so we can assume that it's just 1. Just like in math class with algebra.
Mm-hmm. And then the other thing it makes is oxygen, which is O2. No, O. Just 6O, right? Is it O2?
Yeah, it's O2. Because O by itself isn't stable.
Oh, that's right.
And so just remember that sucker there. That's sugar. Sugar, sugar.
Oh, honey, honey.
So write this sucker down. It's photosynthesis equation. We expect you to be able to read it, not necessarily memorize it. Eventually in high school they will expect you to have that memorized.
Okay, so we've given you kind of the rundown of photosynthesis as a whole, but we're going to break it down even smaller for you because there's actually 2 stages of photosynthesis. So we are going to start with part 1.
Good place to start.
So part 1 starts with sunlight hitting our leaf, okay, and then the cells in the leaf, the chlorophyll inside of the cells, and the chloroplasts take that sunlight in. So they capture the energy, and that's part 1. But that's kind of the starting for all of this. If we didn't have any sunlight to be captured, then photosynthesis would never occur.
So it's so important it gets its own step. And then the other part 2, has several pieces going in together. So first it needs to grab some water. So the plant's roots are in charge of absorbing the water for the plant. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, carbon dioxide enters the stomata. And then you can actually take a leaf off a tree if you can find a tree with leaves. And if you look at the underside of the leaf, you'll see all these bumpy little thingies. Those are holes, like nostrils. And that's where the carbon dioxide enters your leaf. You can kind of feel it. It's not the same as the top side. Mm-hmm. So you got water and carbon dioxide. Then they decide to have a little rendezvous, and they move into the chloroplast. Well, where's the chlorophyll hanging out? Oh, it's in the chloroplast too.
Yep. So now you basically have everything you need in your chloroplast. You have your 2 reactants, and then you also have your energy source.
And then when that happens and this is very complicated, so we're going to give you the middle school version here. Through a series of complicated stuff, your 2 things are formed. Sugar, glucose to be specific, there's different types of sugars, and then oxygen. Those are formed. Those are your products.
So keep in mind, if you hear sugar is the same thing as glucose for this event. Yeah. If you hear glucose is the same thing as sugar. So they're one and the same. So don't think that we're talking about 2 different things here.
Oh, I'm not going to make them watch that video. Okay, kiddos. So that's the end of our story for photosynthesis. You have a few more chances to practice this, but I would spend some time and really review these steps to make sure you understand it completely.
And photosynthesis, the quick overview we gave you at the beginning is a proficient level concept. The 2 stages of photosynthesis, knowing them divided, is an advanced level concept, but we do expect you to be at the advanced level, so don't just ignore the 2 stages slide here.
Amen, sister.
See ya. I don't want to do one more.
All right, let's clean these all up.